Twins win 6-3, 3 straight victories as they take down the woebegone Chicago White Sox, who are 3-21. Meanwhile, the Twins draw ever closer to 500. We'll have a full breakdown of that, and we'll get you ready for the finale tomorrow afternoon. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren. You can unfollow me on the tweets at Brandon_WARNEN. While you're doing that, make sure you follow at Answer Dave Brown. He's Mr. Dave Brown. He's back. He's here. And how's he doing?
Great. When you can play the White Sox every day, good things tend to happen for your team. They can play them every day, right?
They're going to play them 4 more times in the next 7 days. I guess that's probably worth something, right?
Well, that's not every day, so we're going to have to try and work on that.
Well, for now, White Sox 3-21. I'm not a math man, but I think that's a .125 winning percentage. Fangraphs has already boldly ruled them out of the playoffs. 0.0% chance.
Yeah, but that's why they play the games.
That's why. Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. So, hey, if you're watching us on YouTube, we love you. We appreciate you. Thanks for visiting with us. We had a really great following for the show last night. Lots of people watching it live. So thank you so much for that. We appreciate you no matter when or where you listen to it. But I think doing it live. I think doing it live is or as a premiere is has been kind of fun. And of course, hey, we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it's a big fan of Monopoly Go. It's Monopoly on the go. What more could you ask for? The mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So your friends and you can download Monopoly Go, and it's free in the App Store and on Google Play. Now, make sure, too, that you catch the finale. It's a noon first pitch or shortly thereafter. It's going to be Bailey Ober against Michael Soroka. And then the Twins hit the road. It's going to be some late nights. Fortunately, it's over the weekend, but against the Angels. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there because Mike Trout has 10 homers and like 13 RBIs. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of his other teammates show up. But tonight, Twins win 6-3. Move to 10-13 on the season, 5-6 at home, which, you know, their start to their season at home, I don't want to say it was concerning, but it certainly wasn't good. What did you see? What'd you think of let's start with Joe Ryan. I thought Joe Ryan, I read a tweet. It was one of the, the Pitch FX pitch type gurus, geeks. I say it with endearment, saying that it was a tough start for Ryan, which I don't think I agree with that assessment whatsoever.
Well, I don't agree with I guess from a results standpoint, I still feel like there's a language spoken in a lot of these pitching analysis tweets and little things where they take the information from StatCast and they're talking a language that I kind of understand. It's sort of like how Shohei needed an interpreter still, even though he could kind of understand what was going on. Yeah. I need an e-pay or maybe someone better to explain to me why Joe. I was thinking, I'll admit this. Why can't Joe Ryan give up no runs? I mean, I think that would be better.
Many have been asking this.
Right. So, that's what I want the reporters tonight in the scrum to, when they go see Joe Ryan, ask him, Joe, why did you give up any runs against the White Sox? What are you doing out there? As a famous man on Twitter said, if you're not no-hitting the White Sox, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Aside from that kind of blunt analysis and an admission that I don't understand necessarily, like, he didn't use a lot of sweepers tonight. I don't know exactly why that's bad. I know there's a lot of right-handed hitters in the lineup. Maybe that's it. Maybe he didn't have a feel for it. Yeah, I mean, there's something to that right there, what you said. but I thought he was good. I can't wait for the day when he does throw a no-hitter, so we can just kind of, or maybe just a shutout, just so we can just praise him fully and say Joe Ryan. He tracks criticism. He's and I don't know that all of it is warranted. He's not a perfect pitcher. There was only one perfect pitcher, and no, he was not even a pitcher. He was a carpenter.
Yes, he was.
It's not
right.
He wasn't David Carpenter David Carpenter, but the other David Carpenter. But I'm sure he would have loved baseball.
I think you mean son of David Carpenter. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
it's not son of David either, but
right. You're in the right book.
Yeah. Generally speaking.
So, what I really don't understand about the pitching tonight, if you want to know what I really don't understand, is how Garrett Crochet goes from 99 miles an hour, unhittable dude, with two plus breaking pitches to you can get hits and runs off Garrett Crochet now. That's a guy I'm not sure. The last couple starts have been kind of mediocre after a hot start, and the Twins got to him for pretty quick, the 4 runs in the second inning. So why that happens and it doesn't happen other times, I am not smart enough yet to figure it out. Maybe we can talk it out amongst ourselves and figure this thing out before the season ends.
Well, he goes from Chris Sale to clearance sale in the span of about two shakes of a monkey's tail. But
why didn't you lead with that?
Because I just thought of it.
Oh, I guess that's right.
I want to talk about him. We'll come back to Joe Ryan because I got some thoughts there too. But they're definitely going to blow out Garrett Crochet this season, aren't they?
I thought that's what would happen. I thought that's where it would all collapse. That he hasn't accumulated a lot of innings in recent years. He has an injury history. I mean, that's sort of how he found himself in the situation in the first place, to try it and be a starter. Well, if the Sox aren't going to try, why don't you put me in the rotation and see what can happen? They're like, let's try it. And I thought that's what was going to happen, that he was going to pitch well, but that, the White Sox would make him literally implode or something. And maybe that will end up being what happens anyway. But to answer your question, they'll probably injure him at some point horribly.
How do you send him back out there for the 5th to face Manuel Margot, give up a double, and then you take him out? So you send him back out there with 80-plus pitches, which in 4 innings, I don't know. This feels like blatant mismanagement of a guy who should be treated as though he's like an even more risky Carlos Rodon. Either you had him back out there for the 5th for a little bit, or I don't know, maybe I'm just talking circles, but I was absolutely baffled by his usage tonight.
Well, he had not, it had been a couple innings since he had given up any runs. So I don't know. People are not necessarily happy with how Pedro Grifol has been managing the White Sox one way or another. Yeah. Usually when he's got a pitcher out there, Fetty will give them competitive starts typically, but they don't have a lot of guys where you can say, let's let the guy pitch 5 or 6 innings. I think maybe it was a misguided attempt to continue the Garrett Crochet experiment, I should say, in a different way, to just kind of push him to see, let's see what we can get out of him. I'm trying to defend it without really trying to defend it. So I think it's just a matter of, Crochet is kind of his own little singularity in this weird black hole of a season for the White Sox. So the rules are a little different for him. And, they're going to lose 134 games, but they want to see what they have in the long term with Crochet. Hopefully they don't hurt him.
Dave, I can barely see you.
Oh, sorry.
It's like you're skewing left. What are you trying to do to me here? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm here. I'm just, I don't want to be seen with the White Sox. So that's why I'm hiding off screen.
No, and I get that. No, having covered some really bad Twins teams and having to explain to people that, like, not all baseball decisions that you think are obvious are as obvious as they are. Like, oh, just play the kids. Yeah, well, Byron Buxton in 2016 or 2015 or whatever, it might be one of your 25 or 26 best, but is he the best version of himself in that moment that you can justify playing him over, Logan Schaefer or whoever? Like, it's not
Logan
as
Schaefer.
simple as what's that?
Oh, Logan Schaefer. I said you're just bringing up some guys, some memories of some guys.
Jordan Schaefer, Alex Presley. Alex Presley's a little further back, but yeah, there's a lot of nuance, and so what happens is you get branded as an apologist, a pocket protector in Minnesota, which again I cannot explain to you in the amount of time we have allotted here what that actually means. But yeah, you get a kiss up. Someone had accused me of kissing up to the poll ads to keep my job or something because I had explained that like Terry Ryan was doing something this way for a certain reason. And I was literally like, I have said 5 words to a poll ad in my entire life. Jim Pollad said, well, hello, Brandon, at Joe Mauer's retirement press conference. And that's literally the only time I've ever spoken to a poll ad. And I didn't even know he knew my name. So, I mean, it's so funny what people are so convinced is the case. And
you
so,
thought it was maybe a different Brandon he was talking to.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Hey, let's take a quick second. We have a couple of sponsors we really desperately would like to and need to thank. And then when we come back, I want to talk more about Joe Ryan. We're going to talk about Willie Castro celebrating his birthday in style. Joan Duran scheduled, easy for me to say, to pitch again this week. Coming up pretty soon here. We'll take a spin around the affiliates and maybe around the division too, or at least whatever we can get to before we're out of time, which I'm making worse by doing this. But hey,
we are out of time now.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
We'll be right back. Policygenius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace, and it'll save you time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net starting today. With Policygenius, you can find insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. I'm not a smart man, but that's less than $1 a day. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policygenius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help talk you through it. You can talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step, and you can easily compare quotes from America's top insurers in just a few clicks to find your lowest price. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonmlb or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonmlb. And Monopoly Go wants you to listen up for this huge announcement because I have been tracking leaderboards every single day, keeping my eye on the scores, putting all my heart into it, and I am super pumped to announce that I am officially on top. Don't take that. Don't cut that. Don't take that out of context and make me sound like I'm saying something I'm not. What I'm talking about is Monopoly Go, the hit mobile game. You've probably heard of it because it's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great mobile twist on classic Monopoly that you can play anywhere, anytime. And you can explore hundreds of Monopoly boards from Las Vegas to Camelot to the moon, all while raking in a huge fortune. You can charge rent on your iconic properties. Just like in classic Monopoly, you can charge rent to your friends on those iconic properties, or you can go after their Monopoly money by pulling bank heists and taking wrecking balls to their landmarks. To me, I can't imagine anything more fun than busting my buddies' chops about knocking down some of their landmarks. So that's where it's at for me. But my favorite part is the leaderboards because that's where you can see who is a Monopoly tycoon and who's gone bankrupt. Maybe keep tabs on those people who got a little extra in their piggy bank. So get yourself on the charts. Download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store and Google Play. So Dave, yeah, I thought, I guess one of my least favorite logical fallacies with sports is he's young. He's only going to get better, which ignores how basically everything in pro sports works. In this case, similar parallel logic, not exactly the same, but Joe Ryan started off just incredible in the first inning, struck out the side, looked incredible. And, you mentioned his sweeper usage looks as though, I want to pull this up so I'm 100% accurate here, only 11. So 56 four-seam fastball, 17 splitties, 11 sweepers, 6 sliders, 2 sinkers. I'm not going to lie to you. I think this was a tinkering start for Joe Ryan. Four-seam fastball touched 95.7, was up almost a full mile per hour. The slider came in 2.1 miles per hour faster on average. He didn't throw it that much. I'm going to be honest with you. I think he said, listen, this team has Gavin Sheets, Eloy Jimenez, and literally nobody else. I know Kevin Pillar hit a home run, but
don't discount the contributions of Danny Mendick.
That name makes me giggle because mentally I'm 16 for the rest of my entire life. But I don't think this was anything more than just, all right, well, let's see what happens if we do this against the White Sox.
I was thinking about that in a different context later in the game when Brock Stewart was in. Or actually, it was before that. It was when
Bowman.
When Bowman was pitching.
Bowman Chrome.
What's that?
Bowman Chrome.
Yeah. When Bowman Chrome, is that from the racing movie with?
Oh no, I'm talking about baseball cards.
Bowman Chrome. I thought you were like Crow, like shake and bake, Chrome, and I don't know.
Okay. Ricky Bobby.
Yes.
I say something like Chrome and Dome, which is probably not appropriate.
I don't know. I don't want to know what that's about. I'm like, Bowman's pitching with a 3-run lead. Oh yeah, it's the White Sox. So I was thinking of the same thing in a different context that they were using guys in high leverage situations, but it was just maybe a cigar is a cigar after all. That's very possible. That sounds like a good question to ask a guy after a game that he would never give you the answer to on the record. Since it was the White Sox, were you just kind of messing around out there to just fine tune some stuff like it was a spring training game? Your answer, Mr. Ryan. So, he's not going to.
I think Phil Hughes would have told me something like that off the record back in the day, but not on the record, of course.
Right. So, this just means we got to get in the clubhouse and ask these off the record questions and then not report it because they weren't really talking to us on the record.
These are the tough questions, though, that everybody wants asked. It always cracks me up. Who's going to ask the tough questions? What's the tough question you're going to ask Pedro Grifol when they're 3-21? Why didn't you start, this guy or the other guy? Why is Martin Maldonado playing as much as he is over court? What are you going to ask? It's so funny. People don't understand what these scrums are like at all.
What makes Garrett Crochet special that he gets to pitch?
Right. You just expect that you're going to grandstand. You're going to put your thumbs in your suspenders and be like, how do you figure this guy deserves to play? What do they want from us?
Well, what do they want in life?
Yeah.
I'm not smart enough to know. So the original question, getting back to what we were talking about before. Oh, how is Joe Ryan doing? So yeah. So I think there might,
by the way,
he's a guy, he can kind of answer this question in a way that doesn't completely downgrade and insult the White Sox. He's a guy who throws enough pitches and tries to throw different things that, maybe that is a thing that he does sometimes under certain circumstances. We'll rely heavily on one pitch and not another, or we'll go with one direction instead of a different one, a typical one, because he figures he's got some wriggle room and wiggle room and elbow room.
Maybe he did that after he saw how the first inning went too. It was kind of like a feel thing. Listen, I know I can do this. I'm gonna deviate because I feel like he threw most of his sweepers to Eloy Jimenez. I want to say it felt like he did, but I could be entirely wrong. It's just he's got that Javier Baez vibe where you just nitpick the outside corner and then you just keep going further out.
Well, you talk about sweepers usage for right-handed hitters and good for keeping power hitters off base. Where are those guys in the Sox lineup? You mentioned it before. It's Eloy and Sheets from the left side, and God bless Danny Mendick. And other than that, it's there's not a lot going on at home. So that sometimes Occam's razor or the simplest answer is right.
So ESPN says that Jimenez's first plate appearance, the first inning, the final out was slider, 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 four seam, slider, four seam. And he yanked that last slider. I'm assuming that slider and sweeper in this instance are interchangeable.
They are both sliders.
I don't know, maybe not. But I mean, the slider was the pitch that the velo was up on, but he pared back his breaking ball usage to the point where it was basically fastball splitter, and just a buttload of fastballs. So I wonder, he yanked that slider and then he just straight painted the corner on Jimenez. I think at that point he's like, listen, I know I can go back to this if I need to. And then the rest of the night, outside of those 2 home runs, which were more or less inconsequential, it did make the game a little closer at the time, and the Twins put on a little more, gave a little more cushion so that they didn't have to, really sweat too much. That's going to be my theory for this game. Either he went out looking to experiment, or the first inning he went so hot through, basically a hot knife through butter, that he's like, listen, I'm going to try something different. If it goes sideways, I can go back to what works for me. And I don't have much confidence that the White Sox can do a damn thing about it.
I think I think that analysis is good enough for now. Save, some kind of post-game quote of his that changes it entirely. So you don't have to try so hard against the White Sox or try so many different things. You can get them out basically, with the basics, I mean.
Yeah. Hey, let's give some love to PrizePicks. When we come back, we'll come down the home stretch. We got a lot of ground to cover and not a lot of time, which is pretty much the Locked On Twins guarantee. But first, a message from PrizePicks. PrizePicks is North America's largest daily fantasy sports platform, and it's the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because it's just you against the numbers. So you're not playing against algorithms. You're not playing against somebody entering 50 times into a 100-entry competition. You just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. If you like risk, you play the demon plays. Those are in red, and they get you a little bit off kilter, a little bit nervous, but you can win big, as in up to 100 times your money. So if you put down $10, you're raking in 1,000 if that comes through for you. If you're more cautious like me, you find the picks in green. They're goblin picks. They'll keep you in the green, keep you earning the green, and keep your winning streak more likely to be going. Payouts are not quite as rich, but again, slow and steady does win the race, as says the turtle, who also happens to be green. So if you are into the NBA, you can pick more than or less than on everything from 3-pointers made to turnovers committed, or Nas Reed references during a Timberwolves game. I'm kidding. But for baseball, you can also do more than or less than on pitcher strikeouts, first inning runs, or if you're watching the Twins, 9th inning runs. But download the app today and enter code Locked On MLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's code Locked On MLB, all one word, all lowercase, and get your first deposit match up to $100. Join PrizePicks today. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, Dave, Willie Castro celebrated his birthday, and I don't know what exact birthday it is. I would have guessed probably 27.
Well, I think they tell us these things, don't they? Don't they mention them?
I probably wasn't listening, but
all right.
Yeah, 27th, I nailed it. In a 3-run homer, and just had in general a nice get right game. Another get right game for Christian Vasquez, 3 for 4. Although his heat check plate appearance in the 7th was absolutely disgustingly bad, but not a bad night across the board for Jeffers doing what he does, 3 times reaching. Manuel Margot starting to show a little bit of life with the stick. And then Max Kepler coming off the bench going 2 for 2. It was just a solid night at the yard for this offense. 13 strikeouts, but also 13 hits, trio of walks. They did some good things.
Well, I was kind of in this vein. I was thinking about some of the kinds of hits that dropped in last night, and I'm not sure if they had that as many tonight. 2 just bloopers that were, it's like Benintendi, things that Benintendi wasn't going to catch if he had a million years head start, it seemed, in left field. It was like every break in the world was going the Twins' way, and it just kind of reminded me, not so much that they've been really lucky in the series, but just how kind of unlucky they've been, and how it seemed like the other team was getting hits like that from the bottom of their order, and the Twins weren't getting it from theirs. And it just how kind of it skewed the start of the season in a ridiculous way. I mean, just some of the guys, you mentioned like Willie Castro with a get right game and Vasquez with a get right game, and just they've been so bereft of hits of any kind, hard hit balls or luck or whatever, that it just it's a good reminder that we're only what are we, not even 25 games into the season, so it's still it does get early, it does get late awful early, as Yogi Berra said, but it's still early, and it's good to pile up the wins. And I'm thinking about this in like context of like Farmer, who didn't have a get right game and really could use one or two. I think it would be just a good idea to remain patient with even these platoon or bench guys or fill-ins, whatever you call them, to not necessarily give up on all of them. I think it was a good idea to put Wallner down in the minors, but with some of these veteran players, especially guys that you don't have options on, it's just a reminder to be a little more patient and hope that they get their hits when they can, because you're kind of stuck with them. And if they continue to stink, that could be a big problem.
Mm-hmm. And therein lies the issue with the young guys. You can move them back and forth, whereas you got a DFA guy, which tends to be kind of like the talking point for fans. DFA this guy, DFA that guy. I'm not sure exactly what that means. There were some ugly moments. Laz Diaz, I don't think, was particularly good behind the plate. We'll see how that looks with his report card that comes out tomorrow morning. And there were some mistakes. The Twins, so in the 5th inning, Braden Shoemake reaches on a bunt single. Corey Lee walks. Danny Mendick strikes out looking, but the Twins throw down with Corey Lee stealing second. Braden Shoemake scampers home, which makes it a 4-3 game. I really hated that throw down there. I felt like, and I said Mendick because I got confused by the tattoos, but Lee had a really good jump. Credit where due. Corey Lee had a great jump. And then in the 7th, Max Kepler leads off with a double against Tim Hill, who, again, how lefty's ever going to hit off Tim Hill, I will never understand. And then Christian Vasquez has the heat check plate appearance of a lifetime, swings at 3 sliders that are nowhere in the entire area code that they're playing in. Kyle Farmer strikes out swinging, does see 6 pitches. And then Willie Castro, 3 straight. So Vasquez and Castro strike out swinging on 3 pitches, and Farmer puts up a little bit more of a fight. I just thought, my goodness, that was an absolute disgusting display of plate discipline or lack thereof. And I think even Justin Morneau said they're not swinging at strikes. They're just not. And he was right.
Yeah. So when I prescribe patience for us and fans, maybe we should prescribe it for guys in the lineup sometime. Yeah. They missed a couple opportunities to extend the lead or get innings going where maybe that was possible, and letting the White Sox creep back in. I think, the White Sox were called, I think Audra referred to them as not stealthy. What did they say? It was sneaky base running by the White Sox. How dare they sneak around the bases? Mm-hmm. And you think Vasquez wouldn't bite on that, being the veteran catcher that he is. So I think I sort of agree with you that would have been a good time to fake and then maybe throw back over to third and not worry so much about gifting them a run there. Because it's, as much as we like to remind everybody that the White Sox are professionals too, I kind of feel like, they should be leading them, 12-2 rather than 4-2. So I get that.
Well, and there is something to be said about, your first read knowing the situation is that it's the catcher running. And then your second read is what happens in the moment. You have to, while you're trying to catch the ball, you have to read how good of a jump he gets. And that you usually have a play on ahead of time. At least when I played, we would have a code system where, the catcher would yell 71. And that means the throw is going to 6, shortstop. You just subtract them.
They have the electronics in their heads too. I mean, they can cheat. I don't know if that's the word, but they can, they can signal each other about stuff like that better.
Didn't that happen with Correa when they picked off Vladdy in the division series last year?
That's exactly right. Although maybe maybe the third baseman doesn't have it, and I don't know. But yeah, so I could be talking out of my hinder, but
we've all been there,
right? Hey, before we go, the Simeon Woods Richardson's coming up. He's going to pitch tomorrow. We haven't talked about that. I just wanted to make sure that we did. That's all.
Oh,
instead of Ober.
I had not noticed that, but that's a good idea. I'm excited to see what SWR has, and as far as a parachute landing, you cannot do much better than facing the White Sox. And Mike,
and on more or less his regular rest, and then giving Ober an extra day before presumably the more difficult assignment of Mike Trout and the Angels.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great move, and we'll see how it pans out. Quick trip around the affiliates. St. Paul loses 7-5. For whatever reason, that page isn't loading for me right now, but
I believe you, Lo. I believe it happened. So I don't think you have to say anything more.
At CHS Field. Wichita is wrapping up what appears to be probably a 4-run loss here. They're down 9-5 in the 9th. And then the lower levels, we have Fort Myers falling 5-3 to Palm Beach. Ryan Doncone went hitless, which is notable because he has been hitting everything. And Cedar Rapids beat Beloit 3-1. John Klein and 2 relievers combined on a 5-hitter. The Beloit Snappers are no longer the Snappers. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Where are they?
They're the Sky Carp.
The Sky Carp. Maybe I did know that. They should always be the Snappers, though.
Yep, I agree. Around the division, Royals win 3-2. Red Sox beat the Guardians 8-0. Rays win 7-5 over Detroit. That's a wrap, though, Mr. Dave Brown. Thanks for hanging out.
Like an inner city.
We'll catch everyone on the flip side. This has been Locked On Twins, and we'll see ya tomorrow night.